He is one of Nigeria's most respected lawyers, a senior advocate of Nigeria, a voice for justice, and a man who has fought many legal battles. But in August 2013, Mike Ozekhome found himself in a battle for his own life. Armed men kidnapped him on a lonely road, and for weeks he lived in fear, unsure if he would ever see his family again. In this video, he narrates his ordeal in the hands of the kidnapper, who Tinubu has just pardoned. This is the true story of Mike Ozekhome, the Nigerian lawyer who was kidnapped and lived to tell his story. It was Friday, August 23, 2013. Mike Ozekhome had just left Benin City, Edo State, on his way to his hometown, Iviukwe, near Auchi. The weather was fine. He was traveling in his SUV with his driver and two aides. Everything seemed peaceful until they reached a spot along the Benin-Auchi Expressway, a road known for its dangerous bends and poor security. Suddenly, the journey changed. Ahead of them was a group of heavily armed men, blocking the road with a bus. Before anyone could react, the kidnappers opened fire. Bullets hit the car and chaos broke out. Mike and his driver tried to turn back, but it was too late. The kidnappers surrounded the vehicle. They ordered everyone out at gunpoint. Within minutes, the lawyer and his aides were forced into the bush. Their phones were seized and they were blindfolded. It all happened so fast, from a normal road trip to a terrifying abduction. Mike Ozekhome later described the experience as a journey into darkness. They walked deep into the forest, miles away from any help. The kidnappers spoke roughly and moved fast. For days, they lived under trees, sleeping on bare ground. Food was scarce. Sometimes they were given gari soaked in dirty water. At night, the forest was cold and full of insects. Ozekhome prayed constantly, wondering if he would ever make it out alive. He said later, "When you are face to face with death, you begin to appreciate life in a way you never did before." Back in the city, news of the kidnapping spread quickly. The police and family members began efforts to locate him. Then tragedy struck. A team of policemen who went after the kidnappers was ambushed. 4 officers, including a senior police officer, lost their lives during the rescue attempt. The entire country was shocked. People prayed for his safety as negotiations quietly continued between the kidnappers and his family. For days, Ozekhome and the others waited in fear. The kidnappers demanded a huge ransom, millions of naira. He listened to them talk about poverty, hardship, and anger at the government. Some of them told him they became kidnappers because the system failed them. He tried to reason with them, to speak about change and forgiveness, but he knew his words might not matter in that place. After about 3 weeks in captivity, the negotiations succeeded. The family reportedly paid a ransom, though the exact amount was never officially confirmed. On September 12, 2013, the kidnappers finally released Mike Ozekhome and his aides. They dropped them near a village and disappeared into the forest. When he returned home, his family and friends wept with joy. The lawyer knelt down and thanked God for sparing his life. After his release, Mike Ozekhome spoke publicly about his experience. He said the kidnappers treated him with rough respect because they knew who he was. He described them as young, educated men, angry with the country and frustrated by unemployment. He said, "These are not ordinary criminals. They are victims of a failed system forced into crime by hopelessness." And he called on the government to tackle poverty, insecurity, and joblessness, the roots of kidnapping in Nigeria. The incident shocked the nation. It showed that even powerful and respected people were not safe. If a senior advocate of Nigeria could be kidnapped, who was safe? Ozekhome later returned to his legal practice, but the experience changed him forever. he became more outspoken about human rights and national security. He said he learned to forgive his abductors, but also to never take life for granted. The kidnapping of Mike Ozekhome remains one of the most talked about abduction cases in Nigeria's history. It revealed the rising wave of insecurity and the courage of a man who survived it. When you see people like Mike Ozekhome today, remember, behind the confident smile is a man who has stared death in the face and lived to tell his story. His message is simple. Nigeria must fix its broken system before more young people turn to crime.
A gun was on my head. Automatic weapon. And they said, don't move. If you move an inch, we blast you. I told Chinedu, don't move. They dragged me out of the car. Dragged Chinedu out of the car. Shot the tire of the vehicle. Put Chinedu in the boot of the car. And put me inside the car. Then met another driver inside. They said if we dare look up, they will kill us. We closed our eyes. And we were pressed to the ground inside the car. As we were pressed down, I heard them say, oh, police, 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 police. Then one of them said, no retreat, no surrender, let's meet them. Because I couldn't look up, apparently, they moved out of the car. And I could hear guns booming. It was a staccato of bullets raining. Here comes Armageddon. It was a war situation. And they were firing. And as they were firing, the car was moving. They were telling them advance, advance a little. Then I heard them shout again, another vehicle, shoot. Then they started another round of. And then I heard them say, oh, we killed some of them. We killed some of them. Then tomorrow now, they will come out and lie and say some of us were killed or injured, even though none of us have been injured. I heard them saying that. The bad news, that I was not profiled. We were never profiled or targeted. Meaning that they merely operated randomly. It is bad news because it could have been any person, any other person. Bad news because it was when we were in the car with eyes closed that they started preliminary questions. What is your name? I said, Chief Mike Ozekhome, SAM. They set my pocket, took out the complimentary cards and other possession. I heard the card, I said, what is your full name? I said, my full name is Chief Mike Ozekhome, SAM. Constitutional lawyer, human rights activist, Akpakpa Bigibiadola. They said yes. They said yes, you're a man of truth. That's what is written on your card. I didn't even know they were holding my card. They said, so you're a lawyer? I said, yes, sir. How long have you practiced? I said, 32 years. I said, well, even if you tell us lies, by tomorrow, we know who you are. Do you know what? We always know who you are when we capture, when we kidnap people through the press. So even if you lie, we are going to know who you are tomorrow. That is how we were driven for about 4.5 hours. Through rough roads, through highways, you could feel it on the body that you are on a highway. You could feel it on the body that you are on a rocky path. You could feel it on the body that you are in a swamp. You could feel it on the body that you are inside a forest, that you are on a footpath that is not tarred. About 4.5 hours. Before they dumped us in a small, uncompleted building, far away from civilization. Far away. And it was 24 hours guard. Fellow Nigerians. We are not talking of toy carrying kidnappers. They told me that they have cell units across Nigeria. They reminded me, didn't you see that a footballer's father was captured in Jos and taken to Kano? Didn't you hear of the white people, white men who were killed in Brenikebi and Bauchi and Kano? Didn't you hear of the deputy governor of Anambra State that was executed? They started mentioning them. That they are everywhere. So I asked them, how did you know me then? Why did you come for me? They said, we didn't know you. We just operated. and you happen to have run into us. And that when they started reading of me, they said, we believe that God allowed us to catch you for a purpose, to draw attention to the world, to draw national and international attention to this issue of kidnapping. They were even advising me that I should not blame God, I should glorify God. That the things they have been reading of me, about me, shows that attention is being drawn to this issue of kidnapping. Then, of course, all of them are always hooded and masked, so you cannot know or recognize anybody. Because even though they are hooded and masked, even when they are talking to you, whether in the afternoon or in the night, you must still close your eyes. If you don't close your eyes, you'll be in trouble. The death sentence was always hanging on us 24 hours a day.